Welcome back to the Desk Talk Podcast with your hosts, Trent Werner and Alex Magala, bringing you weekly episodes talking business, personal development, and all things real estate. Let's do it!
Welcome back to the Desk Talk Podcast. In this episode, we're talking about what we learned in our first 90 days of the challenge that we set out. What was it? 91 days technically, and it was 1,000 miles on the bike and 90,000 calories. So that was like a challenge that we set out for ourselves, and we're going to talk about what we learned today through that challenge. Yeah. So I know that we both have some major takeaways. Let's just dive into it straight away. Kind of, what is your first major takeaway from the 90-day challenge that we did?
I thought, to be honest, when we got going on it, probably about 30 days into it or so, I thought we were going to blow it out of the water easy. Like I was contemplating stepping our numbers up.
Yeah.
Because we were cruising so hard. But I think it's really important to, one of my biggest takeaways from this 90-day challenge was timeout. Full disclaimer, my voice is a little raspy right now. My voice is a little worked out right now from abandoned dunes golf trip this weekend. A lot of wind. You had to yell just to hear people. So, bear with me here. But going back to the 90-day challenge, I think one of my biggest takeaways was finding an approach that fits you and sticking to it. I know some challenges that are out there, 75 hard, you have to do everything on that challenge for 75 days in a row. So that's a very mental toughness challenge. That'll test you mentally. Our challenge was more of a physical challenge and a mental challenge, but we never really put restrictions or rules in place that we had to ride every single day at the beginning officially.
It was literally just 1,000 miles and 90,000 calories.
Yeah.
Like whatever journey you wanted to take to get there,
and
you could take. I broke it into daily.
Yeah, and then I kind of got on that daily regimen, and my initial approach was, okay, we have 1,000 miles. How many miles a week do I have to do to get there? And then, we talked about the daily thing, and so we started doing daily miles, which was 11 a day on average. And after we started doing that, my legs, my hips, my body was just tired all the time.
Yep.
And eventually I did miss days. I was out of town, whatever. But when I missed those days, I felt really guilty about it. And then I had to try to make it up right when I got back to the bike.
Yep.
And
partly my fault, too, making you feel really guilty about it. Because I was cruising. The first 30 days, I think we both put in, I think you put in 300 and some odd, and I put in just over 400 in our first month. Yeah. So it was easy. Cruise, no problem. But it was, once we got to that hump, doing it daily, you finally hit your first, road block where it's all right, mental challenge.
I'm tired.
How are we getting through this? Waking up every day doing this. Filling our days with it. We tried to hammer it out in the mornings, and then if we didn't get that, then it was doing it after work, and it all adds up, and it starts to beat up on your body, and it took a major toll.
And then you get into that mindset of I have to do it every single day, and so if you don't do it in the morning, then we're doing it at night, usually late night because we got a bunch of stuff going on during the day. So now we're riding the bike at 9 p.m. for 11 miles.
There was a couple times where I was literally
get back up the next morning
sleeping.
And do it for 11 miles, and so it's it's
brutal.
You get really tired, and I think if I would have stuck to a weekly number to hit where I had rest days and I had days where my legs could recover, I think it would have turned out a lot different.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, people can get from point A to point B. There's 100 ways to skin a cat or whatever the saying is, whatever way, you're going to be successful getting there, just whatever's best for you. There's always going to be something that's better for you.
Yeah.
Mine at first was daily. And then probably, the biggest thing for me was it was every 30 days was a new wall I had to climb over. It was the first 30 days were cakewalk, and then it's back down the roller coaster. The next 30 days were so brutal, and creating micro challenge after micro challenge for myself, weekly goals, daily goals, going out and doing long bike rides on the weekends. It was just, it added up so fast, and I burnt really hard.
Yeah. I didn't even finish the 1,000 miles. I crushed the calories, but the miles, I got to a point where I saw the bike and I was flipping it the middle finger. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and we tried to start motivating ourselves with, we were using the word have a ton, so we switched it to we get to do it, and it helped for 10, 15 days, and then it was just back down. I mean, it's a very hard mental kind of block that you get into when you start to do those crazy kind of workout challenges. And one of my biggest takeaways was, yeah, it's hard, but the reward at the end was far greater than putting what we went through in the 90 days. Like afterwards, I was just like, wow, like I feel a lot better after doing that.
Oh yeah. Honestly, even though, well, another side note, I think I was out of town for 9 or 10 days during the challenge without a bike. So that was, that was poor planning on my part.
Well, anniversary, you can't miss the anniversary. So
yeah. But I could have packed a bike or something. I actually did miles on my anniversary.
That'd have been expensive.
Yeah.
Ship a bike.
I tried to get all my miles in on
Corona didn't help too, because like you can't go to a gym to do, out of town. You could have gone to a gym, but they closed that gym. Yeah. So there was a lot of different challenges that you faced trying to even get it done. And so when you're just like daily trying to come get it done, and then you hit roadblocks where you physically can't get past them, it's just takes another toll on your mental, fortitude to get past that. It's brutal. It's not easy, and I commend people who can do it consecutively and just keep challenging themselves mentally like that, because that's how you grow, is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think going through these challenges alone is even harder, and doing it with you made it a lot, not easier by any means, but it made it, I was more motivated to do it because I felt like I was letting us down for our challenge instead of just myself,
Yep.
And I could let myself down.
Yeah.
So the other part was having an accountability partner was a must. I tried to do 75 hard by myself, and that lasted 9 days.
Yeah. I mean, we had Will Grimes on our podcast, and I'm pretty sure he set out to do it beforehand, and then he and Eli, who he does his podcast with, did it together, and they completed it together. And so when you have someone to lean on those really hard days and kind of talk to and vent, it just makes it a lot easier to wake up the next day and kind of attack it. Because there were times where literally, we were biking like 9:30, we're doing a 60-minute ride, we're done at 10:30. I was so tired I didn't even want to hop in the shower, let alone wake up at 6:30 to bike again the next day. But we were just both like, all right, we got to do it. And we did it. There was a couple times where we definitely skipped and we slept past it. But it's brutal to put yourself – we went from doing absolutely pretty much nothing to pedal on the metal, full throttle, just killing our bodies. And so we probably should have been looking at a really strong diet to keep up with what we were doing, supplements to probably take to like help our joints and stuff, because biking isn't easy on the body. It definitely hurt my knees and my hips and my joints a lot once I got through that 90 days. I know I was complaining afterwards, like my hip, I can barely bike, push down on this pedal. And partly our fault too, because there was days where I'd go out and I randomly did like a 64-mile bike ride one of the weekends, and it was just like, didn't technically need to, but then I still kept up with my 11 days. Like I should have stopped, let my body rest, and continue on next week. But I was just taxing it, just killing myself.
I would have loved to have done 3 days at 22 miles, because I could do that every other day. And then on Sunday, do a lower impact to get the last 9 miles or whatever I would have needed to get to that weekly goal.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that would have been a better route for me to take looking back at it.
Personally, having the Peloton definitely helped keep motivation for me, which is another thing, was like creating micro challenges within this big challenge. So like Peloton has like the monthly challenges where if you bike 10, 15 days a month, you get the gold. You bike 150 miles, you get the gold. So it was like looking at the Peloton and doing those challenges, thinking kind of day by day, getting to my long-term goal. I'll get there, long-term thought, like it'll happen. Just let me do these daily challenges that I created for myself. And that is what helped me get through those 30 days, 60 to 90 that were just brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I barely biked in those because I had built up such a lead and I kind of slacked off. But
yeah,
that's what I did in those first 30 days, was build up a solid head start to just kind of coast.
Yeah, and so aside from the Peloton tracking system, which I used as well, what were other ways that you were able to keep your motivation? Because you completed the challenge. I was like 100 miles short or something like that. So, and I'll tell you right now, my lack of motivation was bad on those last 30 days.
Yeah.
So aside from taking rest days, because you did get ahead early, what else was helping you? I mean, you tweaked your groin a little bit. I know that.
Yeah.
So
What
kept you going?
It was mainly I gave myself many rewards at the end of the day. It was a thing that we talked about with like Keith, where, at the end of the day, you reward yourself with like a drink. If you worked hard, you get your drink at the end of the day. That was kind of like my reward, because when we started the challenge, it was, I'm sitting here having a couple beers a night, not doing anything. I might as well reward myself. So a beer was like my reward. For every 10 miles, I gave myself a beer. And so like the weekends when I went out and did 50, 60 miles, it was kind of like reassuring, like, okay, I could drink these 5-6 beers and not be upset with myself. So mine was literally a beer at the end of the day for biking. And if I didn't bike, then I didn't get my beer. And I actually held to that, not drinking beer on the days that I didn't bike.
Okay. So kind of, reward system.
Yeah, just giving yourself motivation to complete the challenge. I mean, when you have no motivation to want to do something, I think that's a really quick, easy way to get yourself to just get up and do something. It's like, give yourself a challenge. If like maybe you're super depressed and barely can get out of bed, maybe it is getting out of bed and you reward yourself with, 30, 40 minutes more in bed. I don't really know, because I've never been in that point, but micro rewards at the end of challenges for me are just how I motivate myself to keep going next. I mean, same thing with like the mortgage business. Whenever I close a lot in a month, then I reward myself with literally a nice little present or a nice gift. I have like lists of things that I want, like a mountain bike or a PC, like little things like that. So if I do really well in a month, then I'm not obligated to feel bad about spending that money on that.
Right.
Just mini rewards is like all I can really attest to what helped me get through that.
Okay. I think that's,
and having you as a support system, being able to talk to you, or like, dude, I'm not feeling it today. Like, okay, you're not feeling it. Let's both not bike. Like, it was nice having like reassurance where if I wasn't gonna bike and you weren't gonna bike, like you said, feeling guilty for not completing something that like we set out to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, what else did you use? Well, I know you said your motivation was hard, but
my vote, it was brutal. So in full disclosure, I'm still in pretty rough like physical shape right now in terms of like stamina, endurance, that sort of thing. Because I don't like endurance type stuff at all. Always been brutal with endurance type stuff.
Cardio,
yeah. So, I mean, not really doing a whole lot of cardio going into it. I think I didn't really have a reward system. It was more just like, hey, you're getting in better shape type thing. And I know it was a mental challenge as well, but I think really like feeling my legs getting stronger, feeling like I have more energy. Those rewards were something that I didn't necessarily, they weren't tangible, but I felt it. And so like, that's what really kept me going, because I was dog tired after like 30 days. Like I said, I wasn't in the best shape coming into it. I'm still banged up, whatever. So those first 30 days were tough. I thought the kind of middle, like 15 to 20 days was just a cruise control. Like my body was used to it, that kind of thing. And then after that is when I really hit the wall and I got tired. And so my legs still felt stronger. They feel stronger now. Like I
wish we took like before and after photos, because like my calves, that was another motivation, was like every day I'm looking down at my, you could kind of physically see your body transform in that 90 days, which was rewarding to see, not working and then seeing it kind of pay off in the long run.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what else? What is it? You have one more takeaway, right?
Yeah.
What is that last takeaway?
Well, I was going to ask you something else, and now I can't think of it.
Uh-oh.
That's not good, because it was a really good kind of point to discuss.
Ups and downs, how do you manage those?
No.
That was a big takeaway for me, is you really have to be able to manage kind of the roller coaster of your emotions. Day to day, you don't know what, and especially in our world, because something can come up at 5 p.m. and it's a fire that you got to put out. And you plan to bike at 5 p.m. I mean, there's multiple times where I was biking and on phone calls, talking with people or talking with clients, talking with real estate agents. So it's just, sometimes I had to force it upon my work schedule and just deal with it if people called me. And that was pretty much how I dealt with the ups and downs of the challenge is just, sometimes you got to force yourself to do it. The big get versus have, that was a big motivation. And what did we do that in? Like probably day 30.
Yeah.
Something like pretty much just about halfway through the challenge, we really started to shift to we get to do this challenge, not we have to do the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of helped motivate for probably another 10, 15 days.
Looking back on it now, if there is anything, what would you change? And how would you do it different? Whether it's like the rules of the challenge or, the challenge, like, is there anything you would change about it? I have a couple that I would definitely change.
I would definitely change how I approached it now that I've completed it. It's like going back to it, forcing yourself to do it daily wasn't the best for me. I think what you said, kind of 4 days a week, you get 3 on, or you get 4 on, 3 off. Just add up the miles and what you have to do and split it between that and bust it out every week of what your kind of goals are instead of a daily kind of task. I think putting it on a daily task is really what mentally drained me quick in that first 30 days. Had I done it a weekly task, I think I would have been cruised through it well over halfway before I kind of got taxed. But that daily focus was what mentally drained me faster than kind of a weekly focus. So I'd change it. I'd probably attack it differently.
That's kind of where I was going with it. I think I would approach it differently, but I would also add in, similar to 75 hard, you have to choose a diet and stick with it for the 90 days. Mm-hmm. But it could be, you're only going to eat 50 carbs a day or whatever. It doesn't have to be like a keto or anything
crazy,
like that. Yeah. So whatever diet you pick, you have to stick with for 90 days, or you get to stick with for 90 days. And you can take whatever approach you want at the miles, whether you want to do, 10, 100-mile bike rides or whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I think I would approach it differently. And then I would also add in the diet part of it as well.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time when you're talking about like exercise, diet is such a big focus, and there's so many people out there. I mean, my idea when I was working out was I'm working out to enjoy what I get to do in college. Drink,
100%.
Party, eat any food I want. I was working out to maintain what I had, not go up, not go down, not get fitter. It was literally just working off the calories that I was putting on over the weekend. Yeah. And then that kind of same focus to that challenge, putting it into a diet and actually seeing like a bigger transformation, I think can get people kind of addicted to it or hooked onto it. And your mind doesn't really lack that motivation anymore because now you're addicted to it because you see like the change.
The physical results.
So many people, they get into working out and they like see that physical result and they get addicted to it, and it's never going to stop because now that they see that change, they're like, oh, I'm keeping with it. Mm-hmm. But I never saw that change, so I was never like addicted to working out because I knew I had to work out because what I was putting in my body over the weekends was like, you need to go to the gym. So that's why I was working out before. So I guess kind of getting myself on the motivation to get a more fit body and stuff like that could have helped.
So that's what I forgot earlier. Habits. Do you feel that, and I know we both kind of came in with a broken habit of not exercising regularly. Do you feel that you have a bike habit now that after 90 days of doing, consistent riding, would you say that you built a habit?
I would say I built, we could boil it down to, yes, I built a habit. I didn't build a habit to want a daily ride.
Correct. Yeah. Agreed.
That is what burnt me out. So I built a habit to see my bike and be like, no motivation today. I don't need to do it. I'm not riding. But if like the flip side of it, the next day I see it and it's just like, I have the time. I can hop on. Like I hop on. So right. I just lost my 15-week streak on my Peloton. Pretty sad about that. But I had a busy week, and now I just got a little bit of a surgery on my neck, so I can't bike anymore. So there's just like little things like that hold me back from being active. So be it. But I still look at it and I'm like, I should be active today. So yeah, mentally it did build kind of like a habit to do something. If I don't do anything, then I'm doing something with my dogs. So yeah, kind of still staying active. I guess that's the biggest thing that it built is just
the act. Yeah,
because that's what I lost was when I came into that the mortgage world. I just started grinding so hard that I lost, and it's a cycle with so many people in their lives where they can really only focus so hard on one thing at once that they kind of lose sight of everything else around them. And I'm really hard that way, where like I dive into something hard and then kind of forget about it for 2 months, and I dive into something really hard here. And so that was kind of what this challenge basically was for me. It was just hitting that, what I'm good at and big at is diving into something really hard. Now leaving it be for a little bit of time, and then I'll dive into it hard again and work out. It's just like my cycle with everything, mortgage, sales. You get burnt out doing something like that super hard, and so I think it's fine to just pedal to the metal and then take some time off and go find another hobby or do something else that excites you.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think the habit or habits that it built was just, that feeling of activity and wanting to be active. And maybe it is, like you said, well, I know for a fact it won't be daily, but it'll be weekly. And, maybe you're not going to ride today, but you see it tomorrow and you're like, okay, I'm going to get on the bike. Yep. And the habit of organization. I am one of the least organized people you'll ever meet in your life. And having or getting to block out time for a bike ride was something that I looked forward to on some days. Other days I didn't. But I was able to block it out, do it. When you get it done, you feel fantastic. And if you do it in the morning, the rest of your day is, you just start off with a great exercise, whether it's 20 minutes or an hour and a half. Doesn't matter. You got up, you committed, you stuck to your schedule. And I feel that helps you commit to things that you're going to follow through with more. So if if someone says, hey, I want to do a phone call or whatever and pick your brain, and you say you're going to do that, or you have a meeting, whatever it is, you say you're going to do that, you're not going to cancel last minute or bail on them. You're going to stick with it. And maybe if you don't need whatever they're trying to sell you, or you don't maybe have the time, you're super busy, and you take that time out of your day, you're going to feel better that you went to that meeting, just like you felt better after you worked out and you committed to your schedule. And I think that was a big takeaway, was the just thought of being organized and committing to something that you say you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess my last little thing that I'd leave everyone with is just, when you do something, focus on it so hard, and that's the one thing you focus on for 90 straight days, you kind of lose sight of everything else that you are focusing on. So during this time when we first started, we were both super addicted to golf, and you're golfing a lot more than I was, but then we started the 90 days, and it was like, how are we still trying to fit in golf with this 90 days? Like, it just became so brutal to fit in the other hobbies that were something I really enjoyed to do. Mm-hmm. So that 90-day challenge really showed me, not to lose sight of the things that still make me happy, and to fit them in where it can fit, and then still get to do this on the weekends. So yeah, that was a big thing that I learned, was just still get to do and enjoy your things you're doing, but you're working out, you're still doing something active, and you're making it fit with your schedule. You're not forcing it in there. I have to do this today. It's just if it flows, it flows. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
There was multiple Saturdays that I rode a bike in the morning and then went and walked 18 holes, and
or walked 18 holes, and then we still tried to ride afterwards. And it was just mentally telling yourself to do that afterwards was so hard.
And I like to golf on Saturday and Sunday on the weekends. And so walking 18, biking 11 miles, walking 18 the next day, that's a lot. And I was exhausted going into Monday when you need to get your mind right back for business and that kind of thing. Yep. I mean, business never really stops, but you know what I'm saying? You get Sunday's kind of that recharge day.
Relax, yeah.
Go play golf, come home, watch some football if it's on, watch the last holes of the golf tournament for the weekend, whatever it is, and just relax and recharge. That was really hard to do.
Because you had to bike. You had to. You got to bike.
And I'm already exhausted.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty much the major takeaways from our first 90-day
Would you
challenge.
do it again? Would you do it again?
The same exact challenge, or just another 90-day?
No, the 90-day bike challenge with whatever you can. We do the adjustments that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be something that it's a long-term goal of mine to do an Ironman. So I think it's something that this 90-day challenge kind of easily built in a nice biking regimen to my schedule. So I think the next 90-day challenge that I'd want to do is maybe some running challenge that's really lax and gets me kind of into running again, so then I can still bike and run, and then maybe it's swimming or vice versa. But kind of, these 90-day micro challenges to get me to a long-term goal eventually out there that, it's just I'm not thinking about it daily oh, I'm training for an Ironman. It's just I'm doing things that could get me there one day.
I'll tell you right now, I will not do a running challenge with you.
I mean, that's fine. Cooper will.
I will not. I'm committed. I am committing to not doing a running challenge. Bingo. You heard it here first.
Maybe it's even just walking. It's just miles in general. Walking, running. Just got to get yourself into that mindset. I mean, you hate something. What do you got to do? I mean, slowly introduce it back into your life. Make it fun.
But like having the torn PCL and the 2 tears.
Yeah,
in
that's
the
true.
hip,
That's
not
possible. All right.
I mean, I kind of want to know if you guys have any ideas for another 90-day challenge.
That's true.
Or
Running.
Yeah, please not running.
No 75-day hard.
I was gonna actually bring that up. Like, what if we fired on 75 hard?
I don't think that's something I want to do at this time of year. I think it'd be something cool to start in May. That's
what we talked about originally. Is we're gonna do the 90-day challenge, take a quarter off, and then figure out our new challenge.
But I guess I'm not gonna take a quarter off, so then I can start to mentally prepare myself for 75 straight days in May. No alcohol, a diet, reading.
Bunch of water,
1 indoor, 1 outdoor workout. It's hard, and so it's like fitting that in my schedule now. I am not going outdoors in the morning,
absolutely not.
Or right now when it's pitch black out at 5:32. It's like it's not the best time to do that.
I think it's
a summer challenge for sure. I'd be,
but
down.
It's
or
also,
maybe even into the end of fall.
Yeah, because the summer months, then you have.
It's just what I just said. Yeah. I literally love to do things so much that 75-day hard in the middle of summer, I'm not going to get to golf that much now because I got to focus on doing a 45-minute workout. Indoor, outdoor. I mean, you have to do 2 a day, 45-minute
The golf
workout.
counts as a workout. You're walking.
True. Okay.
So then you have to do a 45-minute bike ride in the morning.
Yeah.
You can do 2 outdoors.
Just
one
crazy.
of them, only one of them has to be outdoors. But you could do 2 outdoor if you wanted.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe. But other than that, give us suggestions.
Yeah, let us know if you guys have done any challenges.
But also make it like reasonable. We're not like trying to kill Alex or Trent out here.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we still get to decide if we're going to even do it. So if it's
just
something
give us
that's
ideas.
Just not reasonable, probably won't get looked at.
All right. Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like it, share it, flip it, twist it, flick it, pass it. Adios.
Peace. That's the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. It truly means a lot to us. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this with friends. This helps fuel the podcast and gets more and more guests on our show. Hey, go follow us on Instagram as well. Desk Talk Podcast. Go connect with Trent and I as well. We're on Instagram too, LinkedIn, you name it. Stay tuned for more episodes. Peace.